Stop saying you hate people. That is not the reason you are alone. You don't hate connection. You are biologically protecting your energy. There is a massive misconception in modern society that choosing to be alone means you are lonely, antisocial, or emotionally damaged. But neuroscience tells a completely different story. For a specific group of people, solitude is not a mechanism of avoidance. It is a mechanism of regulation. Your brain is wired to process stimulation differently than 80% of the population. While others get a dopamine hit from loud crowds and small talk, your nervous system interprets that same input as a threat, triggering a cortisol spike. You aren't running away from the world. You are retreating to your sanctuary to let your brain do something it can only do in silence: archive, process, and heal. Today, we are going to look at the actual psychology and neuroscience behind why you consciously choose to be alone. This is not about being sad. This is about biology. Here are the 5 scientific reasons your brain craves solitude. Reason number 1, your brain utilizes a different reward chemical. To understand this, we have to look at the difference between dopamine and acetylcholine. Most of society operates on a dopamine-based reward system. Dopamine is the chemical of more. It drives people to seek external rewards, social validation, loud environments, new faces, the thrill of the chase. For an extroverted brain, a busy party floods the nervous system with dopamine, making them feel alive. But your brain likely favors the acetylcholine pathway. This is a neurotransmitter that makes us feel good when we turn inward. It powers deep focus, reflection, and calmness. It is a much longer pathway in the brain, which means it requires a low stimulation environment to function properly. When you are in a chaotic social setting, once your brain isn't getting the reward it needs, it's getting overstimulated. You feel drained not because you are weak, but because your brain is starving for its preferred fuel source: quiet. So when you choose to stay home on a Friday night, you aren't being boring. You are subconsciously choosing an environment that triggers acetylcholine, allowing you to feel a sense of depth and pleasure that a crowded bar could never provide. You are prioritizing satisfaction over stimulation. Reason number 2, the curse of mirror neurons and empathy fatigue. Have you ever spent an hour with a friend who was complaining, and afterwards you felt like you had run a marathon? This is due to a biological system called mirror neurons. These are specialized brain cells that allow us to mirror the emotions of others to understand them. Research suggests that people who prefer solitude often have hyperactive mirror neuron systems. You don't just hear someone's problems, you physically feel them. When someone is anxious, your body mimics that anxiety. When someone is angry, your heart rate spikes. In psychology, this is known as empathy fatigue. For you, social interaction is high-stakes emotional labor. You are constantly processing micro-expressions, tone shifts, and hidden emotions that others might miss. It is exhausting. Choosing solitude is your way of disconnecting from the emotional Wi-Fi of other people. When you are alone, the only emotions you have to process are your own. The silence isn't empty, it is weightless. You aren't carrying the emotional baggage of the room anymore. You are simply existing. This relief is so profound that over time, your brain starts to associate people with work and solitude with rest. It is a logical survival adaptation. Reason number 3, your default mode network is your superpower. This is the most critical point. What happens to your brain when you stop focusing on the outside world? It switches into a state called the default mode network, or DMN. For many people, the DMN is a scary place. It's where intrusive thoughts and boredom live. They constantly scroll through their phones or seek company to avoid switching it on. But for you, the solitary thinker, the DMN is where the magic happens. Neuroscience shows that the DMN is responsible for consolidating memories, moral reasoning, and most importantly, creative problem solving. It is the background processor of your mind. But here is the catch. The DMN is suppressed when you are engaged in social tasks or external attention. You choose to be alone because that is when your best ideas arrive. You need that offline time to connect the dots. While the world sees you doing nothing, your brain is actually doing everything. You are integrating the data of your life, making sense of the world, and forming deep insights. You intuitively know that constant social input interrupts this vital processing time. You protect your solitude because you protect your intellect. Reason number 4, sensory processing sensitivity. In the late 1990s, psychologists identified a trait found in about 20% of the population called sensory processing sensitivity. If you have this trait, your nervous system literally takes in more data than the average person. You hear the background buzz of the refrigerator. You notice the slight change in someone's tone. You feel the texture of your clothes. In social settings, this leads to cognitive overload. Your brain is processing gigabytes of data while everyone else is processing megabytes. It is unsustainable. When you choose to be alone, you are engaging in what psychologists call environmental control. You are curating a space where the sensory input matches your processing capacity. Soft lighting, quiet music, familiar textures. This isn't about being antisocial. It is about nervous system regulation. You are manually lowering the volume of the world so you can finally hear yourself think. Reason number 5, you have achieved emotional autonomy. Most people use social interaction as a crutch for emotional regulation. They feel sad, so they call a friend. They feel bored, so they go out. They need an external source to fix their internal state. But people who master solitude have developed emotional autonomy. You have learned to self-soothe. You don't need a witness to your life to feel like you exist. Psychologically, this is a high level of maturity. It means your validation comes from an internal locus of control. You aren't addicted to the feedback loop of society. You can sit in a room, completely alone, and feel whole. This intimidates some people. Society often views the loner with suspicion because a person who is happy alone is a person who cannot be controlled. You don't need their approval and their entertainment or their validation. You are self-sufficient. Now, knowing the neuroscience is the first step. Mastering it is the second. You don't just want to be a recluse, you want to be a high-performance thinker. Based on the acetylcholine pathway we discussed, here is a 3-step protocol to optimize your time alone. Step 1 is sensory dieting. Since your nervous system has high sensory processing sensitivity, you need to manually reduce the noise floor of your environment. For 1 hour a day, eliminate all artificial input. No podcasts, no music with lyrics, no bright overhead lights. This lowers your cortisol baseline and allows your default mode network to boot up faster. Step 2, active wandering. Do not confuse solitude with doom scrolling. If you are alone but looking at a screen, you are not in solitude. You are still socially connected to the hive mind. True acetylcholine release happens during low-focus engagement. Go for a walk without your phone. Wash dishes, draw, let your mind wander. That is when the cognitive restructuring happens. Step 3, the energy audit. Look at your calendar. Identify the social obligations that leave you feeling hungover the next day. Those are high cortisol events. Be ruthless. Cut them out or reduce them by 50%. You are not being rude. You are managing a biological resource. Treat your social battery like a bank account. Stop spending on people who don't give you a return on investment. So, if you relate to this, let's reframe your narrative today. You are not lonely. You are a curator of your own energy. You are a guardian of your peace. The next time someone asks why you are so quiet or why you didn't go to that party, you don't need to make an excuse. You know the truth. You are simply prioritizing your acetylcholine, protecting your mirror neurons, and activating your default mode network. You are doing exactly what your biology was designed to do. If you found this analysis accurate, I want you to do one thing. Comment solitude below if you are part of the 20% who understand the power of being alone, and subscribe to this channel. We are building a community for those who think deeper.